I was just sitting here thinking about will, right? Um, and there's something I'm constantly saying to myself, not my will, but God's will being done. Not my will, but God's will being done. And I was just thinking on my ride to my destination, I'm like, man, there are some ways that I have, there are some things that I do to keep reminding myself of that. One is to constantly say to the self, it's not my will being done, it's God's will being done. But I also have, I'm conscious about using the word I, my, and me and how I'm using that word. And I oftentimes will not use the word. Maybe I'll say, give thanks, for the vision that the Almighty has revealed to me, not my vision. Give thanks for the gift, that the gift that reflects the Almighty. And it really matches this affirmation that I constantly affirm, and that is, you know, um, the reality of God is in me, and it expresses itself through me as me. The reality of God is in me, and it expresses itself through me as me. And so that's a constant reminder to me, like all is God. It's God moving through me, working through me. The passions that I have, the gifts, the talents, the trials, the all of it is God. And I have to keep reminding myself of that. And we have to keep reminding ourselves of that, because sometimes we can get caught up in the self, and we can take things personally, and we can make meaning of things, and we can start going down this road that ego takes us. That's a rough road oftentimes, because we feel like we're in control and it's all for us and it's done to us, and we're going through it, and I me my kind of thing. And that's no shade. It's just, awareness is beautiful, because once you're aware and you can tune in and be intentional with your thoughts and your words, you can tap into God level power. So I want to talk about real quick the beginner part of the Lord's Prayer. In conversation yesterday, I explained to a couple of sisters, I said, we think about the Lord maybe from how we're groomed. We think of something outside of ourselves, something above us, something connected to the image of God that maybe we have been conditioned to believe in. And so it's something that's separate from us. But I said, let's look at Lord as the divine mind. The Lord is a divine mind. The Lord is the mind of the spiritual man. The Lord is the higher thoughts, the higher mind, the higher consciousness. This is the Lord. And the Lord really lords over us. It governs over us. Even when we are worshiping and following what I call the lowercase L lords, we allow other things to lord over our minds and our hearts. Still, the Lord, or the higher mind, is at work. Hands down. Doesn't matter what we're doing, still. Doesn't matter what we get caught up in, still. Our higher mind is always at work. Our divine mind is always at work. Spirit is always trying to nudge us in a different direction. Spirit is always trying to keep us, or not trying. Spirit is always leading and guiding us on a path to righteousness. So the Lord's Prayer says, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Okay? Our Father, which art in heaven. Heaven represents the state of existence and consciousness that is in harmony with divinity. Right? That's heaven. When you're that part of consciousness that's in harmony with spirit, it's in harmony with the reality of God, that is heaven. It's a state of mind. Our Father, which art in heaven. Okay, we can experience our Father through constantly staying in the state of heaven, right? Keeping our mind in harmony. When our mind is in harmony, when we merge with the harmonious part of our minds that's in harmony with our divinity, with our inheritance as children of God. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Perfect is the name. Perfect is any name. A lot of people know that I'm a fan of the 99 names of Allah. So the 99 names of God. And so I get to experience really vibing with those names. Every day I'm usually vibing with 1 to 3 of those names. And perfect are those names, meaning those names are perfectly describing the reality of God. And there are so many of those names, right, that can help us to remember the reality of God. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth. That's our earthly conscious mind, in earth as it is in heaven. So the thing I want to highlight here, because I could spend an hour on that first statement in the prayer. The thing I want to highlight though is that prayer, a lot of people are not understanding what prayer is. And they look at prayer as asking, begging. Prayer is proclamation. Prayer is remembrance. And so this is a prayer that's making statements. So when you pray it, you're stating something. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. This affirms to you God's will is always being done. Always being done. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. That's a statement. You're not asking. This is a prayer. Oftentimes people think that's an ask. God, please let your will be done. And God's will be done. What is the will of God is it bees. It's done. It's done. We may not be in alignment with it. And do we have personal will? Yes, we have personal will. We have personal will, and we could be in our own personal will, and still God's will is being done, right? We can be willful about something happening in nature, but God's will is being done in nature, period. That's the natural reality. That the Almighty, the reality of God's will is being done. God is not something separate from us. God is not a separate entity. God is not a man. God is not an entity that's above us, that's separate from us, that's governing over us, that's penalizing us. God is a reality. God is the reality of life. It's the reality of life force energy. God is the reality of eternity. God is the reality of infinite potential. God is a reality. And this reality is being done. The will of this reality is done. It be done. It be done. So I pray that this encourages you to walk, prayerfully, walk in a state of, in a posture of surrender, in a posture of supplication, and allow God's will, allow. The allowance is not your allowance or not allowance, or non-allowance does not mean God's will won't be done. It just will determine what type of experience you're going to have as God's will has been done. So the prayer that I state constantly is, may my heart stay light and my mind and eyes stay open while the Almighty's will is being done. Period. So when I start, when the ego start popping up, when I feel a little anxiety, when I feel a little fear, when I feel a little whatever, I don't go trying to make meaning of things and picking something out. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? No. Because I know I'm walking prayerfully. I know I'm walking consciously. I know I'm walking in intention. I know that I'm forever reaching for the posture of surrender. And I am acknowledging, affirming, and accepting that God's will is always being done. As I'm walking that walk as a human being with feelings and thoughts and all of this, my prayer is constantly, may my heart stay light and my mind and eyes stay open while the Almighty's will is being done. This affirms to you constantly that the Almighty's will is being done. And the thing I know about the Almighty is good. And all is God. God is good and all is God. So all is good. So I can keep constantly remind myself of that, because if God's will is constantly being done, then good is constantly at play. Then good is constantly in the unfolding process. So, our plight often is we struggle with surrender. We want to know it all. We want to think everything out logically. We want to have all the answers. We want to, what we tend to get caught up in what we see. And what we see gives us comfort. But we are all being challenged to move, climb Jacob's ladder with that, elevate in that space. Elevate in that space. Because if your comfort comes in this third dimensional or physical world, if your comfort comes from that, it's always at risk. It's always at risk because nothing is fixed. No thing is fixed. Nothing is fixed. No thing is permanent. No thing is permanent. Only essence, only God, only life is fixed. Okay? Life and that what's fixed about life is it's eternal, it's ever expanding. It includes polarity. It can includes all type of things. So I pray this was encouraging to you. Just wanted to share while it was on my head. I'm gonna go ahead and get into this day. All right.